Hello Year 8s and welcome to your lesson 2 this week. We are still working on wholes, but just a little bit of a reminder on what you need to be doing. Obviously find yourself a nice quiet place where you can concentrate and work quietly, no distractions. That could be in your living room, it could be in the dining room, you choose, okay? Have all the equipment that you need at hand, exercise book, paper, pens, highlighters, anything that you think you might need. Okay, always check your instructions on Teams. It will be there every week for you. And if you have any problems at all, please get in touch with your teachers because they will be more than happy to help. Okay, work at your own pace. Just pause the video. And then just take your time, make sure that you do your best. What else? Just enjoy the lessons. Okay, there's lots and lots of really good activities for you to do. But also as well, if you go on the English website, you'll find lots of other links and resources that are there for you to use as well. Okay. So this is your starter activity. This is just to recap the characters that we have met so far from wholes. We've got Stanley, we've got Mr. Sir, and we've got Mr. Pendanski. Your job is to match the adjectives to the character. Okay, so what I'd like you to do in your books or on your paper, I would like you to draw 3 characters. Now, as you can see, you don't have to be a great artist if you don't want to do. You can just do some stick figures for each character, but clearly label which character is which. Okay, then when you've finished that, I'd like you to look at all the adjectives below and try and match them with the characters. Now, some may have, so for example, you might think that if you choose the word friendly, you might think that Stanley's friendly, and you might also think that Mr. Pendanski is friendly, so it can go on 2 characters. There are some words on there that you might not understand. You can have a look at the dictionary, or you can go online and find out what it means. There are some different words there that you may never have come across before. I love this word, cantankerous. I wonder what that means. I wonder if I could use it in a sentence today. We'll have to see. Okay, so have a look at these words and then match them with each character. You've got Stanley, Mr. Sir and Mr. Pendanski. You can pause the video and then carry on to the next slide. Well done for completing the starter activity. I hope you managed to find out what the word cantankerous means. I'm definitely going to try and use it at some point today. Right, okay, so today's lesson we are going to be comparing the characters of Mr. Sir and Mr. Pendanski. Okay, so the previous lessons we've really gone into detail and looked at each character quite thoroughly, haven't we? Okay, so we know that Mr. Sir is totally different to Mr. Pendanski, but we're going to do a little bit of writing about both characters. But in order to do that, we're going to start planning. Okay, so what I would like you to do in your books, can you please write the title comparing Mr. Sir and Mr. Pendanski. Okay, you can pause the video and just write that down for me. Okay, so now you have written the title in your book and underlined it. I'd like you now to draw 2 circles just like what's on the screen there in front of you, making sure that you have this in the middle. Okay, this is called a Venn diagram. I'm sure that you will have done this before in your English lessons. Okay, so make sure, can you just draw that for me please? Doesn't have to be totally neat, but big enough as well to be able to write things in there as well. Okay, so just pause the video and just draw that Venn diagram. Okay, so now you've drawn your diagram, we need to label each section. Okay, so in your first one, you are going to write Mr. Sir. In your second one, you are going to write Mr. Pendanski. And in the middle section, which is here, could you please write down same character traits? Okay, now a little bit of a cheeky activity for you now. I want you to just spend a little time just trying to find out what that word means. Okay, so you can Google it, you can have a look in a dictionary, okay, but I'd like you to try and find out what that word means. So before we make a start, have a look at that and we'll get on with our comparison. Did you manage to find out what the word trait means? Okay, if you didn't, don't worry. It basically means that these are human characteristics, okay? So something that distinguishes that human being, okay? So for example, you could be ambitious like it shows you on the picture. You could be approachable. We already know, don't we, that Mr. Pendanski is approachable. But it's not just about positive attributes and qualities. It can have quite negative ones as well. Okay, so if you are grumpy, if you are irritable, okay, so it's not just about positive qualities, it's about negative ones as well. Okay, so moving on, we're going to have a look at our Venn diagram. Okay, so what I'd like you to do now is I'd like you to have a go at filling in your Venn diagram. Okay, I'd like you to think of all the different traits for each character, for Mr. Sir and for Mr. Pendanski. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few minutes. I want you to try and remember what you know about each character. Okay, you can pause the video and then I will run through it with you and we'll see what kind of answers we have. Okay, so hopefully you will have been able to fill some of these gaps in. Okay, don't worry if you haven't, okay, because I'm going to go through it with you anyway. And as before, you can pause the video and you can catch up and you can fill in the gaps as we go along. Okay, there's no rush, no pressure. Okay, so first of all, let's have a look at Mr. Pendanski. Okay, so he appears to be friendly. Okay, when we first meet him, he appears to be very kind and a very nice person. Okay, so if you haven't, you can pop that down as well. He's formal when he speaks to the boys. Okay, he seems to respect the boys. Now, we talked about this before, didn't we? Because he's younger than Mr. Sir, so could it possibly be that because he's younger, he seems to respect them? Maybe that's why they respect him as well. Okay, when we go, can we just go back to this form, the way he's quite formal, where he speaks to the boys? He's quite professional, isn't he, in a way? Yeah, because he's a counsellor, he knows how to speak to the boys. The boys call him Mom, okay, which gives the impression that Mr. Pendanski is quite approachable. Okay, you may have different things. That's absolutely fine. These are just a few little pointers just so that you can fill in any gaps. Okay, so don't worry, you may have come up with something totally different, but that is absolutely fine. Okay, So moving on, let's have a look at Mr. Sir. Okay, so what can we think about Mr. Sir? Oh yes, definitely. Very aggressive, very scary, isn't he, when we first meet him? He's lazy. Why do we know that he's lazy? Can you remember? It's because he has his feet on the desk. Okay, he doesn't seem to do a lot, does he? He doesn't have that sort of oomph about him, like, you know, get up and go sort of thing. He's not, he's very, very lazy, very laid back. Okay. He's physically intimidating. What does the word intimidating mean? Okay. If you want to pause and have a look at that word, that's absolutely fine. Okay, but if we look at the physical description of Mr. Sir, he's got tattoos. Okay, those can be very, very intimidating. The way he looks, his hat. Okay, he has a gun as well, so he's quite scary to look at. His nickname is Mr. Sir. Okay, this shows that he is a figure of authority. Okay. Or he likes to think, okay, that he's got power on the camp. Okay, do we have any more on there? Oh, yes. He's very short-tempered and irritating. Can we remember why? It's because he stopped smoking, okay? Not a very nice person, okay? Very short-tempered with people. Again, you may have different ones. That's absolutely fine. Also, as well, he doesn't seem to care about Stanley, does he? Whereas Mr. Pendanski did. So that might be something that you can add to the list. All right. So let's have a look at the middle one. The same character traits. What is the same about these two guys? Okay. So first of all, they are both in charge. They're both in charge of the camp. Okay, and then the next one, they're both scared of the warden. Now, we don't know why why the warden is scary yet. We don't know. We have yet to find out. Okay, but for these two guys to be scared of the warden, that person must be very, very scary indeed. Okay, now one thing we've missed from there is how they treat Zero. Now, this becomes a lot clearer later on in the story, but we can add that they don't treat him kindly. They're quite cruel towards Zero. Okay, right. So just so that you can catch up, just pause the video and add some things to your Venn diagram that you may have missed. Okay, year 8. So your next task is to copy this table into your books. If I were you, I would use a full side of A4 paper or one side of your book. Turn it landscape. Okay, when you draw this, you have to make sure that you have got enough room in your boxes, especially when it comes to writing down your ideas. Okay, so for now, I just want you to pause the video and copy this table down in your books, and then turn on to the next slide and we will carry on with this activity. Okay guys, so what you can see now is one of my examples of how to fill your table in. Okay, so but what I've done to make it easy is on the next slide you will see a list of quotes from the book. Because you haven't got the book with you, it's going to be very difficult for you to go back to the videos to find the quotes. Okay, so I've actually provided the quotes there for you, so you can just pick which ones you want to do. Okay, so first of all, I've done Mr. Sir, and the point I am trying to make is that he is showing Stanley that he is in charge and that he demands respect. Okay, now the quote I have used, so my evidence for this is when he says, "My name is Mr. Sir." Okay, so on the explanation and my ideas, I have put that Mr. It's quite formal of greeting, sir. Okay, we don't know his first name. We never ever get to find out his proper name, but it's a nickname, but it's quite a formal nickname. But it shows that he has a position of authority over the boys, okay, and he's not afraid to show it. He wants them to know that he is the boss. He desperately demands that respect from the boys, okay, and he appears almost arrogant, okay, and he feels that he is better than the boys. He's showing that he is better. If you are unsure what the word arrogant means, you can do some investigating and find out what that means. Okay, so what I'm going to do is in the next slide, I will show you the quotes that you can use, and then what I'd like you to do is I would like you to pause the video and just complete the next 3 parts of your table. And well done, guys, you are working so well. You should be so proud of yourselves. Okay, so here are your quotes. I'm not going to read through them all, okay, so just pause the video and choose which ones you want to do. So you need 1 more for Mr. Sir and 2 for Mr. Pendanski, and that will complete your table. Okay guys, well, I hope you have completed your table, and I hope that you have got lots and lots of interesting ideas about each character. What we are going to do now is we are going to write about Mr. Sir and Mr. Pendanski. We are going to compare both of these characters. They have both been introduced to us in very different ways, and obviously they have very different traits and personalities. You remember what the word trait means. So what we have here is an example answer. Now this is a very, very long answer. Please do not worry if you are not confident enough to write so much. I know that some of you are, but if you aren't, it doesn't matter. Write as much as you can. Just have a go. Your teachers will be so proud of you for having a go. Okay, but for the more confident ones, just write what you think and just develop your ideas further as you go along. Okay, I'm going to read it to you. Okay, so this is an example paragraph comparing Mr. Sir and Mr. Pendanski. The names of these 2 characters show something about the type of people they are. Mr. Sir insists on this title being used, whereas Mr. Pendanski allows the inmates to call him Mum. Mr. Sir shows someone who wants to be in control and who is probably obsessed with being respected. Mr. is a polite form of address on its own. But when combined with Sir, the effect is even more intense. In contrast, so this is like the flip side of things, the comparison, Mr. Pendanski allows the inmates to use the informal parental nickname Mom when addressing him, despite insisting on calling them by their real names. He doesn't like them having nicknames, does he? He's like one of those teachers who tries too hard to be liked. Whereas Mr. Sir is like a teacher who thinks he should never smile. A bit like Mrs. Trunchbull in Matilda. Now that's very clever. Okay, this explanation has used another novel to compare it to. They're very, very clever. Mr. Pendanski probably sees himself as a replacement parent for the boys. But there are signs that he doesn't really care that much about them. Now this is interesting because I'd like you to think back to the very first paragraph we wrote about Mr. Pendanski. Okay, because we said that maybe he's not all he seems to be. Okay, so in contrast, Mr. Sir doesn't even allow the inmates to know his name, which suggests that he isn't interested in getting to know the inmates at all. At least Mr. Sir is honest about what he thinks about the boys. Okay, so this is just an idea. Like I said, if depending on how confident you are with writing, okay, or if you're not, you can just do a little bit. What you can see there is how this explanation jumps from character to character, and that is what we do when we compare two things. Okay, a good thing to use as well are both, however, whereas. Those are fantastic connectives to use in your writing. Okay, what I will do on the next slide, I will give you some useful sentence openers to get you going. All right, so away you go, and good luck. And well done, guys. You're doing fabulous. Well done. Okay, as promised, here are some sentence openers that you can use in your writing. Don't forget, if you have any problems at all, please contact your teachers and they will be more than happy to help. Okay guys, well done. Before you go, this is just a reminder just to check your work. Please go through your answer, make sure that you've got all your spelling correct and you are happy with your work. Also, see if you can develop it. Okay, so go that one step further and just add to your answer. Okay, right, that's it for today. Keep up the good work. You are all absolutely awesome and you should be really, really proud of your achievements and for working so hard. I know for a fact that all your teachers are going to be very, very proud of you. Okay, so enjoy the rest of your day. Over and out. See you later.